Today we were lucky enough to get our hands on two beautiful hanging tenders, Black Angus from Creekstone Farm, USDA Prime.
We are very excited.
This is going to be a really good cook, I'm sure. But see, if you see here on the bottom side, look the muscle fibers, how big they are. This is a working muscle that controls the diaphragm inside the carcass of a cow. And there is actually only one per animal.
So it's a rare beauty.
It's very much a rare beauty, very much so. Now we want to get these trimmed up, removing the silver skin. Actually, this we can more or less just pull off like this. That goes pretty easy. And we want to trim the excess fat and silver skin so we get down to beautiful meat. And if you see here in the middle, there runs a vein of connective tissue. That we have to get out because that won't be a good mouthfeel if you chew into that one. But all of this, trim that off a little bit. But actually the history behind this piece is a little bit funny because it have been an underrated piece of beef because originally the butchers, they were keeping this to themselves and it was called a butcher's steak. So nobody really knew about it until recently. Now it's become popular. But
so it was a well-kept secret.
Absolutely, it was really that. They kept
so they were keeping the best for themselves.
Exactly, because, okay, it doesn't look as pretty as a ribeye, but trust me, this is some really tender beef.
This is a tenderloin ribeye fusion.
Exactly, it is actually, because it's as tender as a tenderloin, but it has that extra fat marbling that gives you that ribeye kind of taste to it. Now they're trimmed up nicely. I left a little bit of fat on the surface that will give some good flavor when we grill them. But I just wanted to show you, as I mentioned before, this middle membrane here. We're going to have to separate that because that's rather thick actually, as you'll be able to see in a minute here. It's a thick piece of connective tissue that we want to get out of here. You can see it here. Look how thick that is. That is not going to be nice. So we're going to separate that all the way down. Cut as close as you can to the membrane there, so we save as much of the good meat as possible. I find this is the easiest way, just to separate it like this. Now this one is ready, and now we have to clean this one off also. Very hard and very thick. Back to this. It's a little bit of a fiddling project to get all of it off, but it works slowly. My original plan was that I wanted to marinate these in some soy sauce with herbs and aromatics, but this beautiful cut of beef, that would be a pity. So all we're going to do is we're going to give it a sprinkle of sea salt, because then we maintain just that beefy, nice beefy flavor. We're just gonna flip that over. And all there's left to do is to add them to a Ziploc bag, like this. And then we're gonna put this in the fridge for 1 to 2 hours. If you have 3, 4, do it, because that will let the osmosis draw the salt into the meat. As a side, we're going to make some steak potatoes. I have here a kilo of peeled potatoes. We're going to cut them into wedges, and these are going to be a more healthy solution than French fries. Cut them into nice wedges like this. Be careful, don't cut your fingers. Like that. Put them all back in the bowl, and then we're going to add a tablespoon of sea salt. That looks about that. And then we're going to cover them with hot water so that they soften up a bit and we drag out some of the starch from the potatoes. And now we're going to cover that for about 20 minutes. We take them out of the water and then we pat them dry with some kitchen towel, just like this. And then back in our bowl. There we go. And here we have 75 grams of grated Parmesan. And we're going to add the same amount of panko breadcrumbs. 1 tablespoon of sea salt, and a tablespoon of smoked paprika. And mix that up. Okay. Once that's done, we take our potatoes and we give them a healthy drizzle of olive oil. I don't know, 4 or 5 tablespoons. Don't be stingy here because that's what's going to make everything stick good together like that. And then we're going to add our whole mixture of parmesan and breadcrumbs to our potatoes. And the easiest way is in with your fingers. There's not so much else to do.
Dive in.
It's the best way. That looks about right. We place them in an oven pan lined with baking paper with the back down like this so they're standing up. That way they will cook nicely and become crispy.
If they stand.
If they stand, yeah, okay. That didn't want to play along, but okay. I'll not hold that against it. Yeah. We place them all and we put the leftover breadcrumb mix on top here. That's going to get nice and crunchy. In the oven, middle rack. 180 degrees for 45 minutes. And in the meantime, we are going to start up our barbecue. Our barbecue is screaming hot.
And demands meat.
That's for sure. So let's get these on. Listen to that. Yes, and so beautiful. That smells instantly amazing.
Yeah, dreamy.
We're going to give that maybe a minute and a half on this side. Then we're going to flip it, and we're going to flip it again, and we're going to flip it again. Because if you leave it just on one side and only flip it once, then it's going to be like this gray zone you don't want. Time for the first flip. Look at the sear marks on those there. That's just beautiful. This is going to be good eating, love.
In the chef we trust, honey.
Time for a second flip here, so we don't overcook one side. Absolute gorgeousness.
What temperature we are reaching for?
53 degrees core temperature, I would say. Probably the thin one here will be finished before, but then we will yank it earlier. Because this one now is going at 30 something in the middle, but this one is already at 49, so that will be done before. So we monitor them with
and they have different thickness.
Exactly, but we keep monitoring with our InstaRead. This is only 33, so a couple of flips more, but this one will be done first. Behold, the most exclusive cut of beef. We talked about the grain before. First, we cut with the grain, and then we're gonna cut against the grain so we can get some nice tender. Look at that. That is just beautiful, medium rare to perfection. I mean, look at that. It's just so pretty. Let me give this a try.
Is it perfect?
I'm sure I could cut this with a spoon. I mean, it's so tender you won't believe it. I mean, anyway, I also want to try our steak potatoes. So here I have one nice one there. I'm going to dip it in some of my homemade mayonnaise. Always as a link down below.
That sounds crunchy.
They're perfect. So crunchy on the outside, you heard it, and they're so soft and nice on the inside. This is a perfect, perfect steak potato. Trust me, you're gonna enjoy it.